Hey guys, how's it going? It's Scott Schneider from the ShadowTrader Live Trading Suite. We're in the futures room and we are looking at the ES profile. We're doing so in 2-tick increments so that we can see things a little clearer. Friday was a pretty interesting day. We had a gap up, meaning we opened outside the previous day's range. And we also failed to hold that gap, meaning we ended up closing back in the previous day's range, and it kind of negates the upside move for now. So let's look at Friday a little closer, and we can see that we have a distribution. And a distribution, which is highlighted in the green horizontal lines on your screen, and it says top HSPs, which stand for single prints, and the bottom. So we had single prints in H period. Now single prints represent a form of excess. And you expect to see single prints at the highs and the lows of the session, but you do not expect to see them in the middle of the day. It does not mean that doesn't happen. It's just very notable when it does. And so what does that mean? It means that there was an acute change in market participants' sentiment, and it's reflected in the continuous two-way auction. So once price was able to get to the open in H period, you saw tempo pick up, and we saw some downward price expiration, put us back inside the range from the 24th, and put us back in this lower value situation that we had going on from the 23rd after the 22nd. And that's significant because value is 70% of the day's activity. So I think what we had was an inventory that had got just maybe a little too short on the 24th, which was an inside day. And then we had this gap up, and you have people who might have positioned themselves short and they had to cover at the open. And so how do they cover? They buy. That causes prices to advertise higher. And they're not buying because they want to, they're buying because they have to. And it's not new business, because they're not buying to open. It's old unfinished business that they're buying to close. So when that fizzled out in B period, which is the 9:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. 30-minute period on my profile, they just were not met with newer, stronger participants, new money buyers, other time frame participants. If anything, it was met with selling. And we ended up, once we got back to the open, tempo increased, and that caused this distribution, these single prints, which is like I said, just a change in market sentiment where the auction went from advertising higher to advertising lower. And you can also look at a distribution as it separates where two-sided trade occur. So now we started balancing in the lower end of the day's range, where we had some two-sided trade, compared to earlier when we were above the distribution and above the open, and we were having some two-sided trade up here, a little balancing going on here. But now we don't really worry about this upper balance area unless buyers can get back above the 58.70 area. So buyers would need to fill during regular trading hours on Monday all of these single prints that start at 58.61 and close at 58.69.50. Any failure to fill all of that and the auction remains to the downside. So that's going to be the first, step that buyers can do to regain control from the liquidation we saw on Friday. And the return to the previous day's range. Now, one thing that is interesting, and I don't have a lot of time left, so I can't focus too much on it, but NQ, which is very important because we have a lot of earnings coming up with the Big Seven, the Magnificent Seven, and there were days this week where if you are someone that follows the internals like ticks and breadth, where you would see a lot of divergence between what was happening to price and what was happening to ticks and what was happening with what the internals were showing. And it's because of the strength of those 7 stocks. They don't have to all be firing at the same time. Obviously, it's stronger if they are. But just a couple of them can really lift this broader market. And it has to be taken in consideration. So I bring that up is we have some earnings of those Mag 7 stocks coming up this week. And on Friday, we had a similar situation. This is the NQ profile that we're looking at. Value clearly higher on the day. And we did not fill the gap in NQ. So right now we have divergence in ES and NQ, where ES had the gap up, was unable to hold it, and came back into the previous day's range. And in NQ, that just didn't happen. So I think we need to be aware of that. We also have a lot of uncertainty in the market. We have an election coming up. Markets don't thrive on uncertainty. So we have to be prepared for that extra volatility and headline risk. So I think just going with the framework that this distribution in ES from H period that starts at 5860.5 and closes at 5869.75 will let you know what direction the continuous two-way auction is headed. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and I hope to see you in the room. Peace. Hey, this is Scott Schneider from the Futures Room over at ShadowTrader's Live Trading Suite. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. And if you'd like to trade live with me in real time, please click the link in the description below. Have a great day and happy trading.